and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I know it's a Saturday and it's just after 5 o'clock on the East Coast, just after 2 o'clock on the West Coast, and just after high noon in Hawaii. So there's a chance that a lot of people aren't home. But I'm hoping that since, for one, SummerSlam is less than 2 hours away, and for two, college football is 3 weeks away, and I know a lot of people. Good evening, Kevron. Good to have you here as always. A lot of people, especially married men, get tasks that are given to them by their wives that they have to complete before football starts back. So since you only have today and two more Saturdays, I'm hoping that a lot of people are actually home and will jump on here and watch this live. But if not, you can watch it later. But I want to do another 2025 college football early season preview. And the team I'm going to talk about today, I kind of hinted that I might do their schedule earlier this week when the Gamecock fan was on the chat during my live video. But I do want to talk about the Gamecocks because, they were 9-3 last year. They started out average and then went on that, big, long winning streak. But, a lot of their wins were, back and forth games that they just, got the upper hand in. And I don't know if they'll be quite that lucky this year. I don't think they've gotten a lot worse, but I don't think they've gotten a lot better. And, if you're pretty much going to be the same team 2 straight years, it's hard for me to believe that all the wins you had last year that were close games, that's going to happen again this year. Chances are that some of those wins that went your way last year will go against you this year. Now, Lenore Sellers is a phenomenal player. I don't want to say quarterback because he still hasn't proven to me that if he can't run the ball and South Carolina can't run the ball as a whole, hey there, Star. Glad to have you here. Lenore's has not proven to me that he can drop back and throw the ball 40 times and beat somebody. I just haven't seen it. Not saying he can't, but saying I haven't seen it. So until I see it, I don't know that he can do that. Now, as long as they can run the ball consistently and he only has to throw 19, 20 passes a game, he's fine. But when they can't run the ball, I'm not so sure. Hey there, Euler. Glad to have you here. So, I do think that overall, he's a great teammate. He has a good mind for the game. He makes good decisions. I just don't know if he can consistently beat teams throwing the ball. Hey there, Mason. Glad to have you here. But we know as far as their wide receivers, they have Lex Cyrus, Mazio Bennett Jr., Donovan Murph, Jordan Gidron, Nick Harbor, and Eric Rice. Hey there, I'm going to assume your name is pronounced Eisa. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but it looks like Eisa. If not, I apologize. But Nick Harbor is the fastest man in all of football. And I say all of football because I'm including the NFL. I think him and Tyreek Hill would be neck and neck. But I think Nick's a tad bit faster. But the problem with Nick Harbor so far is he can't catch. Now, if he can catch the ball consistently and he's in open space, nobody's touching him. It's not happening. But he can't catch. Supposedly, he's fixed that in the offseason. That's one of those things you really don't know until the season starts. Now, Joe Burrow is good, but Euler, he's not number one, but he is good. Clayton White is back for, I believe, his fifth season as a defensive coordinator. He's fine. My problem is the new offensive coordinator is Mike Shula, and I think Mike Shula is terrible. Why the Gamecocks hired him, I don't know. Now, I know that his last name was Shula, and he's had success when he's not really calling plays. But in the past, when I've seen him call plays, I'm just not impressed with him. Maybe he'll prove me wrong this year. I don't know. And I think Chuba Hubbard is a very good running back there, Oiler. Thank you for asking. But a lot of times I don't look up team over-unders because they mean nothing to me. I just like to look at the schedule and see what I think. But just because South Carolina was 9-3 last year, and I just don't see them going 9-3 this year, I thought, you know what? Let me look at their over/under and see what they're picked to finish to see if I agree with about where they are. Their predicted over/under is 7.5. Now, as far as their running backs go, they have Oscar Attaway, Isaiah, Augustave, Jawarn Howell, Matthew Fuller, and Rasul Faison and Emilio. I don't have to tan because I wake up sexy. So when you wake up sexy, there's no need to tan. But their defense is going to be good, but it's hard for me to believe that you lose not all the players, but all the real game changers on defense except one, and you're going to be just as good because now the offensive line especially can, double team the one great guy you've got coming back. So I do think their defense is going to be a little bit worse, but I don't think it's going to be, significantly worse. Hey there, Keith. Glad to have you here. But they open up with Virginia Tech on August 31st, and then South Carolina State on September the 6th, Vanderbilt on September 13th, and the other Columbia team, Missouri on September 20th. Hey there, Charbet. I'm glad to have you here. Then they wrap up the month of September with not only what might be the worst team in the SEC, but probably one of the worst teams, I think, in Power 4 football this year, Kentucky. I think Kentucky's going to be absolutely dreadful, and I do think this will be the last year for Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Then they have their first bye week, the first week in October. Everything is going well for me, Charbet. Hopefully it's going well for you as well. Oiler, wait till the season starts on Nick Kerr because, a lot of times you feel one way about somebody, and then when the season starts, you find out it was the exact opposite of what you predicted. Then after the first bye week, they play LSU on October the 11th, and this to me is the rough part of the Gamecocks' schedule. After LSU on October the 11th, you have Oklahoma on October the 18th, and then you have Alabama on October 25th, and then you have Ole Miss on November the 1st. Those are 4 games, and that's a 4-game stretch where if you're South Carolina, you're lucky to go 2-2. And then they have their second bye week of the season. Then they come back Texas A&M on November 15th, Coastal Carolina on November 22nd, and then, of course, they wrap up with Clemson on November 29th. And as far as non-conference goes, you've got Virginia Tech, South Carolina State, Coastal Carolina, and Clemson. And I don't think they're going to beat Clemson again. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it. So count that as a non-conference loss. But the other three non-conference games, Virginia Tech, South Carolina State, and Coastal Carolina, should be three easy wins. Euler, I haven't did a prediction yet on Wisconsin. Now that you're on here talking about them, I'll try to do one before the season starts. But I did make a couple of comments as far as I said that I think if Luke Fickell doesn't win at least 9 games this year, I think he's gone because I think they thought he was going to come in and turn the program around, and so far they just look lost. They look dreadful on both sides of the ball. So I think if they come out this year and they go 5-7, 6-6, 7-5, I think he's gone. But outside of that, I really haven't done a schedule breakdown order. But now that you're on here, I'll try to get you one before the season starts. I'm gonna try to do about 7 or 8 more of these before the season starts. And order, I do them randomly. I mentioned this, I think it was Thursday when I did my last prediction video, that I tried not to do teams. I did do Clemson because a lot of Clemson fans are on the channel, and I know a lot of Clemson fans personally. So for that reason, I did do Clemson. But outside of that, I try not to do a lot of teams like Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame. The teams where you look at their schedule and you pretty much think, okay, they're a playoff team. Because if you're a playoff team, whether you're 12-0, 11-1, 10-2, it doesn't matter. You're in the playoffs. I try to do teams that you can look at and say, okay, can this team go to a bowl game? Or, okay, can this team get to 10 wins? So those are the kind of the schedules that I try to do. Or maybe, a team was really good last year, and do I think they're going to be really good again this year? Or a team was really bad last year, are they going to be just as bad this year? But as far as teams that we all think, like Texas, everybody in America thinks Texas is a playoff team. Why waste your time doing a schedule on Texas unless you think, they're not going to be what everybody expects? They're going to be 8-4. Then do one. But if you're right on par with everybody else and they're a playoff team, why does it matter if they're 10-2, 11-1, 12-0? They're in the playoffs. Hey there, Ford. Glad to have you here. And Joel Higgs is a fast player. Oiler, not Nick Harbor fast, but he's fast. Nick Harbor can go to his bedroom, turn the light switch off, and be in the bed and covered up and sleep when the light goes off. That's how fast Nick Harbor is. But if South Carolina would play Virginia Tech in the opening game, 4 or 5 years ago, I'd look at the schedule and say, you know what, that might be a pretty competitive game. But Virginia Tech, to me, they're going in the wrong direction. I mean, they're going off the deep end, and they're going in a hurry. So I think South Carolina beats the Hokies by 2 touchdowns. Maybe I'm wrong. That's what I think. But as far as in the conference, I've got them going 4-4 in the SEC because they play Missouri, in week 4. And we know with Eli Drinkwitz, Missouri's going to score points. And South Carolina hasn't proven to me that they can score 30-plus points on a regular basis. And they're not going to need 35 points against Virginia Tech or SC State. Even though they'll get there, they're not going to need it. Or Vanderbilt. So Missouri might be the first game where they're going to have to score points to win. And they play them so early. I just don't know if their offense is ready for that. And then you got the stretch with LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Ole Miss. I think they lose 3 of those. I gave them the win against Ole Miss because I think Ole Miss takes a huge step back this year. And I've got them losing to LSU, Oklahoma, and Alabama. But they could lose to Ole Miss and beat Oklahoma. I don't know. But I've got them going 1-3 in that stretch. And I've got the win against Ole Miss. Oklahoma is a team that a lot of people, I think, are still underestimating because of, they've been a disappointment so far since Venables become the head coach. But they finally got the right quarterback. I think Oklahoma wins 9 games this year. I think John Mateer is actually a really good quarterback. I think Oklahoma beats them. So I've got them going 4-4 in the SEC with losses to Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma, and Alabama, and then losing the non-conference game, wrapping up the season to Clemson. Hey there, Justin. Glad to have you here. So I know 7-5 feels like a step back, and it is as far as record-wise. Good afternoon, Eddie. Glad to have you here on this Saturday, as always. But overall, I'm not really gonna say it's a huge step back because, like I said, they were 9-3 last year, but coming down the stretch, a lot of those wins were games that came down to the wire. So this year could be the same way, where a lot of the games come down to the wire. And last year you made that play either on offense or defense, and this year you may not make the play, and that one play might be the difference in winning and losing. So it's not like you're going from 9-3 to 7-5 and getting blown off the field. I think it's going to be competitive, but I think they go 7-5. So that's my prediction for South Carolina. And the main reason is they've got Mike Shula on offense, and I just don't think he's any good. So I think their offense takes a step backwards, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Mike Shula lasted 1 year. I think he got the job because, Dowell, how you want to say his name, he left, and they felt like Mike Shula was deserving of the job. But I don't think he is. I've never been impressed with him. Any thoughts on any of this? Please feel free to let me know. An Oiler, that reminded me, I saw a list last night of either the top 20 or top 25 best names in college football this year. And I forget who he plays for, but somebody's got a player, and his name is Mo Bility. That's the best name in all of college football this year. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I was looking up spiders, and I found one on the web, and that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.